This is the Fitness Business Podcast, the world's #1 podcast for fitness business owners, managers, and fit pros who want to make a difference. I'm JT from Active Management, and we're not the best global fitness consulting company. We're just different. And we're in our 3rd year of supporting this incredible podcast simply because it is unreal and we know it helps so many people. So grab a pen and paper and hold on for another awesome ride today. Before I take off, grab a free business resource guaranteed to help you, no matter the size of your business. Just go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active and pick up one of the 4 free resources. Now, enjoy the show. I know it's a good one, right, Chantel?
Absolutely. I've got a fantastic show coming your way. For those of you out there that own a CrossFit gym, or if you're a CrossFit addict like I am, then chances are you will have heard of today's guest, Mike Bledsoe. He's the host and the CEO of Barbell Shrugged and Barbell Business. During the interview, we talked about a great routine that he does to start each day. We discuss what CrossFit and traditional gym models can learn from one another. And I asked Mike about selling supplements within a fitness facility. We talk about what percentage of your income it could potentially generate and when the best time is to introduce and educate the concept to your members. Also coming up in today's show, we have the Precor Quickfire 5 with next week's guest, Matt Wright from HealthTracks Fitness and Wellness. And one last thing, make sure you listen out right after the interview when I've got some very exciting news to share with you all.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
Looking for industry insights to grow your business? Precor can help. Head to precor.com/fitness business podcast for ebooks, guides, tools, and much more. Okay, tribe, I have got lots and lots to cover with you today. So let me first start by telling you a little bit more about today's guest. As I mentioned earlier, Mike Bledsoe is the host and CEO of Barbell Shrugged and Barbell Business. He has been coaching and honing his own health and performance for over 20 years. With the goal of creating the biggest possible impact, he uses video shows, podcasts, software, and entrepreneurship to reach as many people as possible. As an athlete, he has competed and coached many sports, including weightlifting and CrossFit. And as an entrepreneur, he's successfully co-founded Faction Strength and Conditioning, which is the home of CrossFit Memphis, Barbell Shrugged, and Barbell Business. Now, we caught up recently, and I started by asking Mike to tell us about some of the rituals or routines that he uses to stay on top of a busy workload.
First, I start my day off with a morning routine. So it creates a rhythm for me where I don't let any of my work or anybody else's priorities get in the way. So I spend the first 2 hours of my day with myself doing things, a little bit of movement, a little bit of meditation, eating a meal, a lot of quiet time. So just a lot of time by myself. And I find that if I do that, then my ability to manage my energy the rest of the day is much, much better. If I don't, I find my mind drifting more, and I find myself getting more distracted throughout the day. So just like very simple morning routine that includes, I would say, the meditation piece and a lot of breath work, extremely helpful. Another thing that I do to stay on top of what I need to get done is I try to set aside the first 90 minutes of my day to knock out my #1 priority. So what I don't do is start my day with email, where I might end up on somebody else's priority. So what I do is I decide first thing in the morning what my #1 priority is for that day, and I spend the first 90 minutes working on just that. So even if the rest of my day kind of gets thrown off, at least I've got 90 minutes of solid work focused on the most important thing for my business. What's great about that is I know that for a lot of people, and how I used to be, is getting 90 minutes on the most important thing in a single day is actually not that common. So if you're able to accomplish that, you're ahead of the curve for sure.
That's sensational. And that morning ritual that you talked about, is that a non-negotiable in your diary 7 days a week?
No, I say it's most days a week. I think that there was a period of time when I was looking to implement a solid morning routine where I was trying to make it non-negotiable. And so when it would be interrupted, I would have the sense of failure. And so what I've done is I've actually let go of the expectation of it having to happen every day. And when that happens, if it just happens most days of the week, then it feels successful. So my ability to keep doing it is actually higher. Yeah. So I kind of what I like to do is I know that I start work at 9 a.m. every day. And so I do as much of my morning routine as I can before 9 a.m. And if I wake up late, then it means it cuts into my morning routine. And it actually, I've really fallen in love with the morning routine. So I'm highly motivated to actually knock it out. It does not feel like a chore at all. In the beginning, it was a little tough. And what I did was I built it up 10 minutes at a time, where, initially my morning routine was 10 minutes. And then a month later, it was 20 minutes. And then it was 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So it wasn't something like I designed this kick-ass 90-minute routine and I started implementing it. I slowly built it over time, finding things that help me out. So I treat it like it's like my warm-up for the day. So if I just jump into my day without it, then I feel like it's like jumping into a workout without warming up. And I travel a lot. So what I find is when I get home and when it works, and I really make sure it's a priority so it does happen most days of the week.
I love that analogy that it's the warm-up for your day. It's something we can all relate to. So earlier on, I talked about Barbell Business and Barbell Shrugged. Do you want to give us an overview of what it is that you do, Mike?
So I initially, I'll say this, I'm the host of the Barbell Shrugged podcast, and that's a video show, and it's also on iTunes. And I'm also one of the hosts of Barbell Business. And so that's 2 shows that we produce a week. Both are video shows and take about it's a half day per week to record each one of those on average. So I do those shows. I also do a lot of the work around partnerships, partnering with other businesses. I handle a lot of the hiring in our companies. Barbell Shrugged does, so we have the show, and what we sell is coaching and training programs for athletes, primarily in the CrossFit space. Mm-hmm. With Barbell Business, it is business advice for gym owners and fitness entrepreneurs. Most of what we are directing it towards is CrossFit gym owners. However, anyone who's a fitness entrepreneur or an entrepreneur in general would really benefit from that show. And with that business, we sell a software, a marketing automation platform for CrossFit gyms specifically, and we also sell coaching. So we advise and consult gyms on how to better run their businesses.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the automation platform shortly, but first let me ask you this. You're a CrossFit box owner yourself, so what do you think it is about CrossFit that has made it such a popular form of exercise?
I think people like it because it's fun. I think it attracts some people because it's competitive. I think a lot of people are like it because it's communal in nature. You do it as a group. It's one of those things where I definitely notice in the first year and a half, people are drawn to it, especially if they're not into fitness in the first place. A lot of times they're drawn to the intensity and the fun. And then if someone's going to still like it after 18 months, they have to be able to step back and focus on skills. Mm-hmm. And so one of the reasons I've enjoyed CrossFit as long as I have is because there's the functional fitness component. There's always new movements to learn, and you can always perfect those movements. So I would say some people, they may do it for 12 months or 18 months and then they drop off. And usually what I find with those people is they may not have the desire to actually learn the movements better and to improve on the skill sets. So people can suffer burnout if they don't necessarily mature. And so I think that's where a lot of times CrossFit might get a little bit of I don't know if it was a bad name or a bad reputation, but sometimes I think people's impression of it is based off of what they've been exposed to. And so Some people have been exposed to just kind of like the conditioning WODs. And then if they see too much of the same thing over time, then they may get bored with it or burn out. And if someone is exposed to proper progressions over time, then it's something you can keep loving for a long time.
In one of your shows recently, Mike, I was listening, and the topic of conversation was around how important it is that you don't just spend time in your own CrossFit box, that you actually get out and you look at the competition in the market and you look at the Orange Theories and the F45s and the Soul Cycles and that type of thing. So you're making reference to the fact that, you know, that there is competition beyond the traditional CrossFit boxes. What do you think that CrossFit and the more traditional style gyms can actually learn from each other?
I think it's happening. I think they are learning from each other, because you're seeing big box gyms erect road rigs and have gymnastics rings and bumper plates. And I think a lot of the CrossFit gyms are, learning over time, as well as in the beginning. Like when I ran a box way back in the day, 07, 08, all the way to 2011, a lot of times just having a membership contract was really unusual.
Yeah.
And the billing systems were really immature and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of CrossFit gyms can learn a lot on the business systems side of things. Mm-hmm. And then also I think that in the beginning, CrossFit was it attracted a lot of former athletes and a lot of people who didn't mind the garage gym. And I think that what we're seeing, as well as the big box gyms, are really good at, you might have showers and clean towels and all those amenities. And I think we're starting to see CrossFit boxes have the same thing. So not all of them, but there's definitely, as it becomes more mainstream, there's going to become a market for, the gym that's a little bit nicer, stays cleaner, gets cleaned up every night, not once a week, and things like that. And then I also see, the big box gyms usually offer personal training, and that's not always been the case with CrossFit. But I think we're going to see, and we are seeing, more CrossFit boxes offer personal training as an option as well.
That's interesting. You mentioned in there, and earlier we touched on automation. And in the show, Barbell Business, you talk, quite often you bring up the theme of automating your systems. So do you want to dive into that a little bit more? Talk to us about what automation means to you.
I'm actually really excited about automation in general, because what we could automate 5 years ago compared to now has changed quite a bit. And as we move forward, we're going to be able to automate even more. And so in big, broad conceptual terms, we can think about it's just technology. And the more technology, the more robots there are doing some of the work, the less of the manual work we as humans have to do, which frees us up to operate with more creativity and more connection with other human beings. So I think one of the things that when people hear automation, a lot of times they think, okay, the robot's going to handle this. That's awfully impersonal. And what I tend to gravitate towards is it's really great that a robot can do this task that normally has to be done by a human manually. So that frees that human up to connect with that other human in a more real way. So for me, the automation allows us to connect and practice more creativity. And so automation right now, what it looks like, especially the way that we do it, is it allows us to engage with potential customers and our current customers via email, via surveys, via social media engagement and ads and things like that. And it allows us to create marketing for that person that's specific to their own needs. So, a few years ago, a lot of the marketing automation would have been very one-dimensional. You send out one type of message, and no matter who ends up on the website or who is looking at an ad or no matter what, they're kind of seeing the same type of information. Whereas we now have the ability to find out if this is a man or a woman. Are they seeking weight loss or more performance or wanting to gain muscle, or, are they in their 20s or are they in their 50s? And for each one of those people, they may get a different message. And so we're actually able to automate and segment to where each one of those people are getting a different message, which allows us to bring more of those people in the gym and meet with a coach. It also allows us to schedule a time for someone to come meet with a coach without the coach having to think and sit down and send an email several times a day to make it happen. A lot of this is just automatically happening now, which frees people up to spend more time with other people.
Do you think a system like that should be available or utilized by any size gym owner or box owner?
Yeah. The big box gyms, it's a lot easier for them to do it because they can afford to build big custom systems. The system we built, if somebody we built it for the small gym, the person who has between 50 and 350 clients or, members. And a lot of people who are opening up a CrossFit gym, they get our system before they even open their gym. And it's really helpful because what we built was something like if you were to build it from scratch, it probably cost you realistically between $70,000 and $100,000 to have it built. But we're able to, because we're delivering it just to CrossFit gyms, we've been able to build it in such a way that we could deliver it like $1,000 a month. So what used to only be available to a business that had a lot of revenue, it's now available to those of us who are running gyms that are maybe doing between, $10,000 and $50,000 a month.
And Mike, what's your automation system called?
Barbell Logic.
And so everyone can go on and check that out, guys. We'll make sure we put a link to Barbell Logic in today's show notes. Mike, I also want to talk to you about a show that you guys did in November last year about ethically selling supplements. What percentage of total income do you think a gym might be able to get from selling supplements?
I used to hear the number back when I was running the gym and I was listening to other people who are experts in the field like Thomas Plummer, and a lot of times they would point to the number of 20%. And, I think it's very individualized based on how you want to run your facility. But I think 20% is very, very fair. And I know gyms that supplements make up over a third, so close to 40% of their total revenue. So it kind of depends on, what your membership is and what you're charging for supplements and what kind of gym you're running. I think the gyms that I've heard that do really well with supplements, where it might be like 30 to 40% of their total revenue, is really popular amongst boot camp facilities. So if they're running a boot camp style gym, for some reason they have an easier job selling supplements. I don't know any CrossFit boxes that sell at that high percentage, but there's definitely some that are selling at 20% or more. I really think, supplements can be really interesting. Some gym owners are super supplement friendly, and others, they kind of believe, we should just be eating whole foods and not selling this, eating a lot of supplements. So you got to figure out whatever is in line with your personal values. So I think that, and that's how you should select the brand that you're selling as well. Some people really get hung up on, they want everything to be super natural and grass-fed and all that kind of stuff. And other people may not care for that as much, and they want to be able to deliver a product that's cheaper. So for me, what I think, if you're running a gym and you're thinking about selling supplements, just look on your shelf at home. What are you taking yourself? Would you suggest that to your members? And if you're not selling that supplement that you really believe in, then you're out of integrity. And I think you're almost letting your members down by not offering it, because it's something you really believe is helping you out and you really believe it can help them out. So by not offering it, you're actually making it harder for them to get their results. So if you want to be a good gym owner, a good coach, then make it as easy as possible for them to have access to those supplements.
Yeah, and I think that's really good advice, that you need to be genuine about, that you genuinely do believe in it yourself, because otherwise you've got no hope whatsoever of being able to on-sell that to a member or to a client if you don't believe in it yourself. Have you got any tips, Mike, around ways that we can actually educate people? So let's say, for example, we do have a range of supplements, or we do choose a supplement to sell within our gym. Any advice or any ways that you've seen people educate their members on that supplement, on how to choose what is right for them?
Yeah, I think what I've seen best is during the onboarding process. So when someone's new to the gym, you give out, I think it's good to give out samples of the supplements within the first week to anyone who's looking to join the gym or anyone who has just joined the gym. Give them samples and then build in that education process in the very, very beginning. I like to see it as almost like an expectation. If you're training, then you're going to be using these supplements to help, enhance the effects of the training or help you recover faster, or, some supplements you should be taking no matter what, maybe something like fish oil. And I like to have that as, maybe have a whole week. I'm a big fan of having, between 4 and 12 sessions for somebody onboarding into a facility, so they can kind of learn how everything works, and devoting 2, 3, or 4 of those days to teaching people about nutrition and supplements, and just kind of almost build in as an expectation of something you would do if you were wanting the best results.
Can we dive into that in just a little bit more detail, Mike? What might you typically cover across that 12-session onboarding process that you just mentioned?
And I'll speak specifically to CrossFit, but I think this works with any type of fitness regimen. The more complicated the movements might be, the more of an intro you're going to need. But, I know that we really like to, day one, sit everyone down and really set expectations and have a conversation, whether it's with a group or one-on-one, but have that conversation around why are you even here, and get everyone to verbalize what it is, what are their goals and why they even walk through the door in the first place. And they may be, a lot of people when they walk in the gym are really intimidated. And so if everyone can kind of, especially if you're doing a group, if everyone can hear why other people are there, then it'll probably make them feel more comfortable. But if it's a one-on-one, then sitting down and just talking about their goals, and then also letting them know what they can expect. If you're going to do this, you may feel sore. That's normal. You'll come back in, so on and so forth. So I'm real big on goal setting and setting expectations right out the gate, and then teaching 2 or 3 basic movements on day one. And so something like CrossFit, there's a lot of different movements you might encounter in a class. And so it can take up to 12 sessions before I feel that somebody's repeated the movements and been introduced to enough of the movements where they can be somewhat competent in class. If that doesn't happen, then what can happen is you can have a class full of people who really know everything really well, and you have 2 or 3 people who don't, and it kind of slows things down for everybody. So it can impact the quality for the entire gym in that moment. So a lot of it is during an intro, day one, we may just talk about expectations and goals. Day 2, we might talk a little bit about nutrition. Day 3 might be a little bit about supplements. Day 4, if like a lot of gyms sell their intro first, and then after people complete the intro, they may sign up for membership. Day 4 may be, hey, this is how the membership works here. And if you sign up now, then you'll get a month for free or something like that. If you wait till the end of the intro after the 12 sessions, then maybe you don't get, the free t-shirt or something like that. But always incentivizing people to sign up sooner during the intro is really good too. So it could be things like covering things from basic movements to mobility, to nutrition, supplements, how the membership works, what are the different offerings in the gym, things like that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for talking us through that. That's really interesting. So listen, we've covered a lot of ground already today. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us on the show. But there is one last little favor that I have to ask you. And with all your experience dealing on the business side of things, I'm hoping you might be able to leave us with your top 3 tips for running a fitness business. Okay, tribe, before we hear those tips from Mike, take a listen to a message from our friends at One Fit Stop. We'd like to thank our sponsor, One Fit Stop, for their support, and we highly recommend all fitness professionals go to onefitstop.com to find out how their software will enable you to take control of day-to-day management in your fitness business. One Fit Stop's scheduling, client management, programming, and payment collection tools will set your business up for success. Now let's go back to Mike, where he leaves us with his top tips for running a fitness business.
Don't build the business around yourself. I see a lot of people, they don't really include their own labor in the cost of what's going on. So when it's time to take a vacation or it's time to hire someone to replace them, they realize there's not enough revenue running through the gym to actually have them collect a paycheck and have someone replace them. So that would be number one. When running a gym, has set aside really budgets, like a legitimate amount of money for marketing. I think a lot of people are quick to forget that, and it's the first thing people tend to cut as well. So I would say at least 10% of revenue going back into marketing. And then the last thing I would recommend is hiring people who are complementary or finding business partners that are complementary to you, both personality-wise and skill set-wise.
Excellent. That last one is a particularly great tip that we've actually heard from a number of our industry experts and leaders, which is always work with people that complement your own skill set. So, Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really, really liked your suggestion about having a morning routine to get warmed up for the day. And I think the subject of supplements and the potential revenue that they can generate is something for us to think about if we don't already have that in our fitness business. Now, tribe, to get hold of Mike, make sure you check out barbellbusiness.com. Mike, thank you once again for joining us on the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, everyone, as I promised at the very start of the show, I recently received some exciting news. Take a quick listen. Tribe, we have a very special guest with us today. I would like to introduce you to Steve Ayres, the Chief Revenue Officer from ABC Financial. Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast, Steve.
Thanks so much for having me on the show, and congratulations for reaching over 65,000 downloads.
Well, thank you so much. We are very, very excited. And I've got to say, off the back of our Women in Fitness Month in December, and now already in January, we've just had the most amazing couple of months of very, very inspiring guests. So can you tell that I'm just a little bit excited about 2017?
Yeah, I sure can. And to be honest, every show is inspiring to everyone in the fitness industry. So today I'm here to tell you that ABC Financial would love to become a partner of the Fitness Business Podcast.
That is incredible news. Thank you so much, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, many of the ABC Financial team have been listening and watching what you've been doing since May of 2015. And we all agree that the show is a great free resource of education, inspiration, and leadership growth for the fitness business owners and managers. We love the information you and your incredible guests share.
Thank you. That means a lot to me and a lot to the show. And I know that ABC Financial work with many fitness industry professionals.
Yeah, that's right. ABC Financial, you know, we're all about helping fitness entrepreneurs have stronger businesses with our quality software and billing solutions. And we realize that there are a lot of other ways that we can help them lead a better business. And we would love to help spread the word of the Fitness Business Podcast, not just our 8,000 plus customers, but to the broader industry as well.
I love the sound of that. Thank you so much. That is absolutely awesome.
Oh, you're so welcome, and it's our pleasure. We'd welcome all of your listeners to come visit us at the IHRSA trade show if they're in town in LA in March, or come check us out at abcfinancial.com.
Well, I can tell you I will definitely be seeing you in March at the IHRSA trade show. So I'm really looking forward to that. Really, really excited. So tribe, it is official. ABC Financial are the newest partners to join the Fitness Business Podcast. Steve, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing that fantastic news.
Thank you. We're excited to partner with you guys as well.
What a sensational way to start 2017. I want to say a huge big thank you once again to Steve for coming on the show.
Precor Quickfire 5.
Hey there, tribe. I'm here today with a very special guest. It is Matt Wright, the Senior Director of Fitness and Consultant to HealthTrax Fitness and Wellness. Welcome along to the show, Matt.
Very happy to be here, Chantal. Thank you.
Now, you ready for your quick fire 5 questions?
I will do my best.
Tell us, why do you do what you do?
To educate and provide inspiration through perspiration.
I like it. And what's the best advice that you've ever received?
It's something Todd Durkin actually always says, which is live a life worth telling a story about.
And what's a personal habit that helps you become better at what you do?
I truly believe that leaders are readers. Every morning I wake up and spend 30 minutes reading about leadership and self-improvement. The other is exercise, carving out 30 to 60 minutes every day to make sure I take care of my body and, of equal importance, my brain.
They are really great habits. And how about a book? What's one book that you'd recommend and why?
My favorite book, which is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. It talks about how we can all clearly define what we do and how we do it, but the why is what drives our purpose, our cause, and our belief.
I think that is probably the most nominated book from all of our guests. And why should our tribe come back next week and listen to our main interview?
It's the new year. We all know the importance of the first quarter. It's time we turn our trainers into true fitness professionals. I'll be discussing innovative practices for fitness leadership and how to best serve your teams and in turn your members.
I'm really, really excited about having you on the show because I know that there are a lot of team leaders out there that definitely need help in this area, and we'll get a lot out of your main interview next week, Matt. So thank you so much for coming on today for the Quick Fire 5, and we look forward to you joining us next week for your main interview.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast Wrap.
Here are my top takeaways from this week's show. Mike said, don't start your day with emails or you might end up as someone else's priority. He said automation systems enable us to target our audience more specifically. Plus, of course, utilizing systems frees up time in your own workday. He said, when running a business, always set aside money for marketing. Naturally, that's a really, really important one. And make sure that you work with people that are complementary to your own skill set. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. Thank you to all of our guests today. Now, make sure you tune in next week when I meet with Matt Wright and we talk about professional development for leaders and their teams. I'm going to leave today's sign off in the hands of one of our former guests, and I will see you next week.
Hi, I'm Kate Cracknell, editor of Health Club Management magazine, and I was a guest on show 74. You've been listening to another outstanding guest, so if you know someone who could benefit from listening to the show, please share it by email, Facebook or Twitter. That's all possible on this week's show notes. And you can still listen to my show too, where I share some of the insights I've gained over the years of interviewing some of the industry's leading entrepreneurs and business leaders. Just go to www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and in the search bar type my name, Kate Cracknell, and my show will pop up. So that's this week's show finished. Chantal will be back next week with another guest.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.